Real Housewives reunion show, and they're just sitting there, and you're like, what are they going to say? And then all of a sudden, they are like, evidence. They pull out evidence.
I think the kids call that the receipts.
Yeah, they pull out receipts.
Let's do this.
Does my hair look good?
Looks amazing. Looks amazing.
Okay, honey. I want to get it right.
You look amazing. You always look amazing. Welcome back, everyone, to the She Sells, He Sells podcast, where we are here to change the way that you think about sales by teaching you to look at it in a whole new way.
Hello to our YouTube fans, all 5 of them.
Speaking of whole new way, this is our new...
We're in the studio.
Studio 1B. Let's call it Studio 1B.
Okay. All right. We're in Studio 1B.
Yeah. And
we are, for the first time officially, bringing a video aspect to this podcast. We've recorded some episodes, but this is legit now. And I've had a few moments of now I need to get myself together before we do the podcast, because a lot of times, we're in our pajamas because we live here and we're married, so we don't necessarily dress up for the podcast, but that is changing.
Yeah. And
it took us a bit to get here on the tech.
Yeah, I would say not super easy. Even though we had excellent teachers and mentors, It still required a little bit of learning curve on our part. And I'm having to wear pants. I usually wear shorts. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, yeah.
Most days I wear shorts.
It's going to be hard for you.
We'll get into that later as we get more comfortable with each other.
And we have the beautiful podcast wall.
Yeah.
We're very excited about the podcast wall that we built together.
We did build it together.
You did most of the hard work, but it was an extra set.
It made it go so much more quickly this second. I'm not being funny at all. Definitely did. Yeah.
So we're really excited. This is episode 100. We made it. Yeah. We made it to 100, which is wild.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of sitcoms that don't make it to 100. Let's be real, right? Like, everybody gets canceled these days. I mean, how many seasons of, there's like 100 seasons of Lost, and
lucky for us,
Seinfeld.
No one can cancel us. I mean, people can try, but it's not like we need to get picked up for another season.
Network down here telling us what to do, what we can record. This is why we do this on our own.
That's right. That's right. We can do all this ourselves. So we decided, in honor of episode 100, we are bringing back one of our most beloved topics by us.
I was going to say beloved.
I don't know if other people really like it.
What episode was that originally?
2.
2, yeah. Mm-hmm. I was going to say way back when. Still, so 98 episodes later, this still takes up a lot of bandwidth in our home, this topic. I'm not even being funny.
Yeah, well, we figured we might as well argue for episode 100 because it happens on a day-to-day basis. So, small arguments.
Yeah, not real. Just
married for almost 23 years. So we're going to bring back a debate. The debate over the phrase, fake it until you make it.
Right. And I'm sure that many of you, I want to give, as we get into this, we're going to try to keep a format together so we keep this, in a window that it should be. So I want Chris to go first because I want you guys to hear. I want you guys to hear what she has to say and give it a few moments to marinate a little bit until you hear something that you probably agree with.
We need a coin toss to decide who goes first and second. I'm going to use my phone to do that. A virtual coin toss. Yes, we're going to.
Laces. Bennett.
Right. Well, we're going to do a virtual coin toss on my phone, and we're going to debate, and we're going to keep this tight.
International debate guidelines
that we made up.
International as in Forest Hill, Maryland debate guidelines. Yes.
We are going to each of us are going to get 7 minutes to argue our side. Is that everyone can see your face now?
Yeah. No, I keep forgetting that. We're gonna have to keep it within 7 minutes. That's gonna be really challenging.
I know. I hope you're prepared. I've been preparing for months for this.
Well, I didn't know that we were going to use my phone to record the video. All my notes are on my phone, so I had to print them out, and I got a very professional looking padfolio here.
So we're going to do 7 minutes, and then we will allow for, did we say a 3-minute rebuttal?
Yeah, potentially. There might be a little wiggle room there. We'll see how it goes.
No wiggle room. 3-minute rebuttal, and then it's up to you. Our viewers, our audience, and we will take this. You can put it in the YouTube comments, or we'll do some things on social media, and we'll see
Our fate's in your hands. Yeah.
Which side you agree with.
Loser of the debate may get fired from the podcast for a week or something. I mean, you never know.
Okay. Now I'm changing my strategy.
No, I'm kidding. That's true. Right?
I actually would love for you to take on it.
So I got a couple solos coming up in my head.
Oh, okay. All right. I'm very fidgety with my hair right now because I'm keep thinking about this is wild. It'll take some getting used to, and it's kind of a perfect for my argument. But anyway, before we get through, we get into the debate. We have to do a fun fact.
Yeah,
and it's time to let out one of our dirtiest,
more embarrassing,
darkest secrets.
Embarrassing of the fun fact family, but yeah.
Would you like to share it?
Well, once upon a time would have been in the year 2000, as they would say on Saturday Night Live. It was 2000, right?
Yes.
In the year 2000, we were driving cross country, or at least halfway cross country. And this was like before you really had Google Maps and stuff. So, it's easier now to plan a route that includes interesting things than I think it was back then, unless you had my dad had AAA and you were an old guy and they gave you those tickets. And remember, you had to keep flipping the pages.
Oh, triptych,
mm-hmm. Right? Yeah, we didn't do that, right? He probably did do that for us. Actually, now that I think about it, yeah.
I think we did do that.
Anyhow, we were running out of things to do and not really I probably didn't think it through as we were driving, 1,800 miles. But we thought one super cool place to stop in Missouri, in case you guys have ever been to Missouri. The funny thing is there's lots of cool places in Missouri, and this probably doesn't make the top 10 list, but in our brains.
We actually drove by the arch. We drove by the arch and did not stop there.
Right. Multiple times. Driven by the arches. I'm sorry, I'm embarrassing myself. But we took a detour to a little town called, is it Carthage, Missouri?
Carthage, Missouri.
And for those of you, I don't know if it's IYK. If you know, you know, kids.
Mm-hmm.
Carthage, Missouri is the home of one thing. What is it, babe? Yep.
Precious moments.
And I don't know what I expected. Yeah.
Precious moments. Precious moments are beautiful ceramic figurines.
Porcelain. Oh, ceramic.
Or I don't know. We should.
Breakable.
We better go back. We need to figure this out. Porcelain, ceramic. I don't know. They are figurines of these sweet little people,
cherub faced,
with
little
big wide eyes, little button noses,
baby features,
and they all are in it's like they all mean something. They have a meaning,
like a core snapshot memory as a parent, or
kind of, or you give it as a gift, as to me.
Oh, I didn't.
In the late 90s, giving one a precious moment was the ultimate form of love.
I'm sorry, I can't hide my face. That's such a great. I love that way you said that. That's awesome.
This one was the sister's precious moment. And this is a little sister being sad, sitting on a stool, and the big sister comforting her. And for me, I have a little sister, and I gave this to my sister. And why I have it,
she gave it back years later. I don't want this anymore.
Yeah. And it was a very special moment. And so,
hence the name.
Hence the name. So when we found out that the headquarters of Precious Moments was on our trip route, it was relatively a no-brainer, relatively close. And it was impressive.
I was just about to say, let me ask you, what did you expect what were you thinking in your head?
I just thought it would be a big store.
I thought it was going to be a giant factory with a guest, what do you call it? A gift shop attached.
Mm-hmm.
Not the case, ladies and gentlemen.
No, there was a chapel.
There was multiple buildings.
You could get married.
Yeah.
And there were stained glass windows with precious moments on them.
Okay. All kidding aside, it was kind of beautiful, right? Everything was very pretty there. It was very nice.
Pretty.
It was much more than
we were engaged at that moment. And I did have a little moment of, should we? Yeah. Should we do it? But
there was a massive airport in Carthage, Missouri. Everybody could have made it easily in for.
Luckily, I let that go because that would be so embarrassing. Could you imagine if our wedding photos?
What if they did up your makeup to make you look like that, to try to make your little face and everything? That's amazing. Anyway,
we were there.
We were there. Love to hear it.
And if you like precious moments, that means you're a 90s person and kid. I was going to say probably kids didn't like it though. 90s teen, 90s young adult, 2000s. And I will say I've put this behind me. There are no precious moments on display in our house, but I did happen to have this one.
But as I say, it took you about 3.5 seconds to find
exactly.
that. So they may not be on display, but they're not lost.
We're going to get these sweet girls. You know what?
Don't put them right here. Oh, they're distracting. Distracting.
What if somebody tunes in to like later in the episode and then they're like, oh, well, I thought I liked these people, but now there's a precious moment on their table.
What if someone tunes in though? What if a network executive tunes in and is a precious moment fanatic and then wants to pick us up for syndication? Anyway, it's a risk we're willing to take.
Yes.
I would love to hear more from you all if y'all are fans of precious moments, and bonus points for anyone who's actually been to the precious moments Mecca.
Yes,
as we have. Anyhow,
okay, it's really interesting that I just found a virtual coin toss. So we are going to coin toss here, and we're going to decide. Actually, if you win the coin toss, then you get to decide if you go first or second.
You get to defer or take the ball. Gotcha. Perfect.
And then I will use my phone for the timer.
Yep.
Stopwatch, 7 minutes to make the case.
Totally. Away team always picks, and we'll call this my home turf because this is my half of my office at least. So you can choose. Okay. You can pick the coin toss.
Okay.
Heads or tails or whatever.
Got it. Wow, that's so chivalrous of you. So I am arguing for the phrase "fake it till you make it." Brian is arguing against the phrase "fake it till you make it." So I'm going to go with my old faithful tails. So we're going to flip. Can you see this? It's flipping.
What is it? It's not actually. Oh, it's a head.
It's heads.
Yep. So I will take the ball in the second half and kick off to you first.
I'm not scared.
It's a little bit of like an intimidation factor, I think. This is like if I was on the debate team, this would be one of the biggest debate flexes. Like this is how you like when the other debate team rolls in off the bus, and this is how you try to get in their heads, get the pump up music going.
I'm zero worried about this. Zero. Okay. I'm going to
start. You should be.
I'm going to start my own timer, and my notes are on my phone. That is why I'm looking. And I will say I've been taking these notes for a while. All right. Are you ready? Are you ready, Brian Dempster?
Oh, am I ready? Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. Here we go. So I would like to kick it back to actually also the year 2000 when young Brian Dempster, fresh out of West Point, was going to command an Army unit. Well, he was going to lead a battery of soldiers. Now, Brian Dempster spent 4 years at West Point and felt like he was very prepared, knew all the leadership lessons, all the military history. Like he had what it took to go in and command this battery of soldiers. But when you get to the battery of soldier, I will let you know Brian Dempster was 22 years old, and Brian was supposed to be leading a group of men that were 25, 30, 35, maybe even 40, perhaps, who had been doing this for a very long time. And so this fresh, wide-eyed, precious moment-looking man, so innocent, so excited, walked in, and these guys are like, here is another know-it-all West Point graduate who thinks they're going to tell us what to do. And Brian Dempster pretty quickly had to realize he did not know it all. He had a lot of knowledge, but that wasn't the kind of knowledge that he needed to lead this group of soldiers to get their respect. But the kind of knowledge he needed, he did not have. It had to be on-the-job knowledge. But he could not go in and tell them, I know nothing. He had to go in with a confidence, with I am here to learn from you, yes, but I also have these leadership skills and you should follow me. He had to, as one might say, fake it until he made it. And so my opponent actually has lived this principle through much of his life. And I could spend my 7 minutes telling more stories, but I'm not going to because I have some research that I would actually like to share. So you may have heard of a viral TED Talk by a woman named Amy Cuddy. Amy Cuddy had a traumatic brain injury at the age of 19 and was told she would never finish college again. She was not capable. But Amy Cuddy realized that she could work her way back to the level of confidence. She could train her brain by showing up ready, by faking it, as one might say. And so Amy Cuddy actually gave a whole TED Talk on this principle, and she utilized things like power poses. My opponent here might have heard of power poses, might not have. But power poses actually are ways of standing and sitting that retrain your brain to help you remind yourself that you are capable and you are able to act your way into a new way of feeling, which is so interesting. I think we might have just said that phrase to one of our kids, but I digress. So her advice now her TED Talk is one of the most viewed TED Talks, the most famous TED Talks. It has been viewed over 17 million times. I have a background as a therapist. In therapy, probably the most famous type of therapy is CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. And when we trace back the meaning of this phrase, at fake it till you make it, it came in the 70s from cognitive behavioral therapy. Cognitive behavioral therapy can be condensed into another phrase, which is act as if. And when people are facing fears of height, fears of closed-in spaces, fears of being in crowds of people, they are sometimes the best way to get through that is to get in that place and act as if you are not scared, to kind of desensitize yourself. And that is the most effective way to overcome those fears from decades and decades of research. So when we look back to the etymology of this phrase, that's where it comes from. It is a highly effective therapeutic technique. I would also like to bring up two different studies. One study by a man named Dr. Wiseman, and it was a study on luck. And Dr. Wiseman took two groups of people and asked them to say, are you lucky or unlucky? And then he gave them a newspaper. And he said, you have to count all of the pictures you see in this newspaper. And on the second page of the newspaper, there was a big headline that said, take this newspaper. There are 45 pictures, turn it in and get $250. And when we looked at the unlucky and lucky people, the lucky people were, I think, by 60% more likely to turn that in, while the unlucky people were counting. They believed that they were that thing, and so they were more successful. They faked their idea of luck because that's not a real phenomenon, but they believed it. So they acted their way into a new way of feeling. Another groundbreaking study by psychologists Robert Rosenthal and Lenore Jacobson in the 1960s showed, they actually studied teachers in classrooms, and they showed that when teachers came into a classroom and they had high expectations of their students, those students were more willing and more able to perform better. And so those students may have felt as if they did not know what they were doing, but those teachers said, you have this, you have what it takes, and we believe in you. And they were able to move in to that and act themselves into a new way of feeling, and they were more successful. This self-fulfilling prophecy suggests that our expectations influence our behavior. The way we think about ourselves influence our behavior, and that aligns to our beliefs. And I would like to end with the story of a very famous podcast, top 1.5% podcast called She Sells, He Sells. And when these two hosts, one a little smarter than the other, sat down to do this podcast, they said, I'm nervous. I don't know what I'm doing. We've never done this. What if we're not good? But they showed up with confidence. They rewired their brains. They faked it until they made it. And here they are in a podcast studio, absolutely killing it, and have 2 years of podcasting, 100 episodes under their belt. I rest my case, Brian Dempscher, on the buzzer.
All right, I don't have a dance move.
Hold on, wait till your timer.
This is probably the longest I've been quiet.
I know. Is that hard for you?
It was really hard for you? I'm not going to lie.
It's going to be very hard for me too.
That was
Ready?
harsh for me. No, hold on. I just
No,
I'm
you
getting
get.
my
I got
brain
no
to.
lead up. Here we
All
go.
right,
Three,
yeah.
2, 1.
I appreciate everything you said there, and I like it. And I will say, I'm going to start this out in a different way than I anticipated. Each of us have a couple different things that we say all the time, and they've sort of become like, staples in our advice giving life. And I think one for me is confidence is a key to life. I firmly believe that. I tell our kids that I think confidence is the most important thing that you can have in anything that you do, right? Particularly new things, right? And then one thing that you say, Chris, that's interesting to me is you always say words matter. How we say or what we say matters very much so. And the idea here with fake it till you make it is about confidence, right? Which on its surface, I agree with completely. However, this is the classic example of message sent does not translate 100% to message received. And I'll start with that cognitive behavioral theory piece as well, because I did
cognitive behavioral therapy.
Theory. I'll call it a theory. It's not proven yet in my world. But thanks for correcting me because I didn't say anything to you while you were doing yours. But cognitive behavioral theory, right? That is the concept that kind of underpins this entire thing about fake it till you make it. The idea, as you already outlined, is you sort of imagine yourself and you think yourself and you put yourself in these situations and you suddenly you miraculously get better at it, right? Well, that is a thing that very smart people with PhDs and many other names, many other letters and initials after their names have come up with and have studied at length for many, many years and donated really much of their entire professional lives to that specific subject. Lay people in the United States and other foreign countries, if you're watching on YouTube, our international fans, thank you. We are not PhDs. So there's a little bit of a gray area and some area for interpretation. And we, as lay people, don't fully understand what the concept is here, right? I think if someone was a PhD in cognitive behavioral theory and they said to me, here's what this means, I would have a tendency to believe them solely and completely because they donate their life to doing this thing, right? We don't, right? So how we interpret this thing leaves too much area for gray and too much sort of area for interpretation that it shouldn't, right? End of the day, this is bad advice, period. I'm just going to come out and say it. This can be translated too often by people as don't be yourself, right? That's my problem with this. Not what you're trying to convey in this message of confidence being paramount. I totally agree with that. This phrase I do not like, right? This is the opposite thing that you would tell someone who's trying to build their confidence and doing something new. You wouldn't tell them to fake anything. It promotes dishonesty. It promotes inauthenticity. That's a great word. This promotes you not being yourself, right? I want you to put yourself in the role of people manager, right? If you're managing a team of people that you're trying to help get better at what it is they do, thereby positively impacting your entire group, if I'm telling them to fake it till they make it, that starts with not admitting what I'm not good at, right? That starts with me saying, here's what I want you to do, team of people that I'm managing. I want you to pretend you know how to do this. I don't want you to admit you don't know how to do this. I don't want you to be honest with me as a manager and say, hey, I don't have experience in category A, but I do in B, C, and D, and I'm a willing learner and I work hard and I will figure it out, right? That's what we want. That's what we all want. But if I'm telling you fake it till you make it, I'm telling you to do not the thing that I really want you to do, right? So let's sit down for a minute and think, why did this become a thing, right? Because it's a cutesy thing to say, right? We know that to be fact, right? But what we're really trying to tell people and what we really want them to understand is being confident and the power of positive thinking is the most important thing that you can control, regardless of what it is you're doing that's something new, right? And that confidence isn't in your ability to do a thing. That confidence is your confidence in yourself and your ability to develop the skills to do a thing, right? But we, and I group myself into this, we haven't figured out a cute thing to say and a cute way to describe that. So it's cutesy and it says fake it till you make it. We can put it on mugs and other t-shirts and graphic designs and things like that, right? That's the only reason that this has become popular, right? We talked about, sometimes I think about, this is honestly a true thing. I don't know if I ever shared this with you. Sometimes I think about like when I since we've had kids, right? If I were to give advice to somebody in a professional setting, I sometimes think about, would this be similar, or how, in order to try to make it as simple and bite-sized as possible. Because I think sometimes as a mentee and as a mentor, having done both roles, sometimes advice becomes very, very complicated, and people and it becomes almost like sort of so nuanced or source specific, it's hard to break down. So when I give advice, the same way when I receive advice, I like to think of it in terms of, could I tell this to my child, and could this have an impact on my child? And that's really, since becoming a parent, that's how I've thought of this, right? And I thought specifically about fake it till you make it. And my issue with this being message sent does not equal message received, right? And I thought, well, what's part of the issue here? How would I tell this to my child if they were going to kindergarten? Let's say hypothetically they were nervous about making friends, right? If I were to tell Bennett or Ava or Emmy when they were going to kindergarten, you know what? Just fake it until you make friends. Just fake it. How might I guess kids are 5 when they go to kindergarten, 5-ish, 4-ish, 5. How might my then 5-year-old have received that? Might they have said, well, I guess my dad's telling me not to be myself, right? And then what will happen is I'll get to become friends with people who like the not myself version of me. And then we'll end up in middle school. And then we'll end up in high school playing on the same teams and doing the same clubs together. And then all of a sudden, I've spent 12 years conforming myself to someone else's idea of what I presented to them that, in fact, I was not in kindergarten. So I'm setting the table for a long-term relationship of distrust built on inaccurate principles. I would never do that, right? Words matter. Fake it till you make it. Just too much gray area. It's an unclear message, too much ambiguity. In fact, I'll go as far to say one more thing. I've already said it's bad advice. It's already advice I would never give anyone. I will say, I'll firmly and officially call this out as Bush League, right? And I'll tell you one last thing. So we use that example of the kindergartner. Now we're going to put ourselves back in the corporate world and the grown-up space of we're all trying to be better at our job, right? Here is a fact about the corporate world. Decreased ownership, and whether that be ownership of failures, ownership of actions, ownership of the decision-making process, whatever it is, decreased ownership is a problem, right? That is a fact.
You're done.
Right?
You're done.
What we
no,
know about,
you're done.
Well,
you're
no,
done.
You interrupted me for 2 seconds.
You're done. You're done.
Right.
You save it for your rebuttal.
Okay.
That was cute.
Win.
That was a cute little thing.
Dubs, as the kids say.
That was cute. All right.
I can't believe you cut me off. That was so harsh, but you interrupted me for a few
I know.
seconds.
I apologize. I apologize.
I don't care. I don't want an apology. I just want. This isn't about. And again, I'll talk more about this in a minute. But this is about facts over feelings.
People should know that when they're getting accurate information and when they're not. So anyway.
3 minutes are up.
Okay, 3 minutes. This is going to be a hard 3 minutes because I have so many things to say. Give me 1 second. All right. Hold on. Let me get my timer. 3 minutes. Go. So you can approach life one of 2 ways. You can be optimistic and look for the good, or you can be pessimistic and you can try to break everything down. And what my opponent here has done is he's taken a negative slant on a phrase that even if we wanted to, we cannot erase. The phrase fake it till you make it is out there. It started with the best of intentions, both of us can agree, but it's out there. So as responsible leaders, responsible thought leaders, responsible parents, responsible managers in the corporate, do we want to spend our very limited time trying to take down a phrase, or do we want to take a phrase that's out there and do we want to make people understand this is actually about your courage? This is actually about your confidence. This isn't about your skill level. And sadly, it really is the corporate world that you live in quite a bit that has taken this phrase down, Silicon Valley, all those examples we gave a long time ago. And so it is our job as positive, optimistic people to embrace this phrase and to change the way it is. It is not meant to be literal. A small mind might really look at that phrase and focus on the literal meaning of it. But it is much like something called maybe a magnetic message that you and I actually consult on. We help brands come up with a quick and snappy slogan, much like Nike's Just Do It. Does Nike mean just do it? Just go jump off the cliff. Just go on a bender and drink all night. Is that what they mean by just do it? No, they mean just do the thing that you want to do. Words don't need to be literal when they are snappy. And so that's what fake it till you make it does. We can erase the phrase. We cannot erase the phrase, but we can change the meaning. Right. And actually, I use the phrase fake it till you make it quite a bit with our own children. And I think taking back to that kindergarten example, if you have a child, we've had all of our children have felt like this, that are nervous, shy, scared. You would say, go in with the smile. Stand stand tall, walk in, give someone a compliment, fake a way that you're not nervous, and over time you will. Again, I will come back to the idea of negative, pessimistic people, things. We might focus on this phrase as a negative thing, but as an optimistic, positive person like myself that believes I can influence people for good, I'm going to take that phrase and I'm going to use it for the good. So it's really about faking it till you make it, creating commitment, which then brings on courage, which then brings on capability in that area you might feel a little bit nervous about. And then that brings out your confidence. And that is why this phrase should not be erased, but could not be erased even if we try. And so I choose to lead with positivity and make it a really good thing.
Nailed it. Great. That's unbelievable. You're looking at the clock, though. You're looking at the clock, which is a little bit unfair.
All right, I'll let you look at the clock.
That's okay. I'll leave the clock.
Oh, okay.
So,
are you ready? Hold on. I didn't start my timer.
As I mentioned earlier, decreased ownership is a problem. We all know this to be true. This is an absolute fact in the corporate world. Owning your decision making, owning your mistakes, owning your failures, and improving those and getting better. The phrase "fake it till you make it" subconsciously adds to this, right? This makes you think that feelings are more important than facts. Newsflash, they are not. You mentioned earlier in your rebuttal that the phrase is already out there and we can't stop it. No, we can. We can stop it by refusing to propagate it and by refusing to blast this propaganda on loudspeakers throughout the world where we have control over what we say, right? This is not about an optimism versus pessimism argument. This is about a clarity versus ambiguity argument, right? I want to be clear as a leader. I want to be clear as a parent. I want to be clear as a partner, as a husband. I want to be very open and honest with what I'm trying to say here. And I'm not going to leave anything that has all this gray area and it's cute because I saw it on a graphic t-shirt. That's a fact, right? If my kid were struggling with getting better grades, would I say, just fake studying until you get better grades? No, study for real. Admit that you have an issue, get better at it. If I had a huge problem and I was massively out of shape and I went to see my doctor and they said, hey, your cholesterol's terrible, your blood pressure's terrible, I say, well, I'm going to fake being healthy until I actually get healthy. No, that's garbage advice. You all know that to be true. It's not about your feelings. It's about a fact, right? It's sometimes we don't want to hear the facts, so we want to shelter ourselves from it. So we make up cutesy sayings like this to make ourselves feel better and think that, well, I don't need to look at the facts if I can have a little warm and fuzzy about this fake it till you make it. And you can tell now this is striking a little bit of a nerve with me, right? But that's an important thing. And sometimes you need to hear the facts that you don't want to hear, right? At the end of the day, the problem with this isn't about the underlying idea of confidence. That's a super valuable asset. I want everybody to be confident. The problem is the message is too unclear and the message is too gray. And how some people receive that leads to many, many issues and many, many sort of misrepresentations of self.
Oh, you're done?
Done.
Wow.
We'll see you guys next week.
Well, I would really, can we do another minute?
No. We agreed. International Forest Hill rules of.
Because I have one more.
I think we should just
have one more. I'm going to take your minute.
Let's have a quick conversation here. Let's just. Okay. We don't have to do this one. I mean.
Okay. Here's what I would like. Here's what I'd like to say in response.
I don't like you talking for me and then me talking. I like this talking thing. This thing. Mm-hmm. You do too. I think.
I kind of like talking by myself. So, your phrase "confidence is the key to life" is exactly the same idea. Yes, it is. Because if you were saying to our kids, hey guys, confidence is the key to life, that you could also argue is being like, well, I don't need to do the homework. Confidence is the key to life. In fact, our son recently said when we told him, I think I've been hearing that maybe you're being a little silly in class and you're talking a little bit too much and you're being a little overly confident. He said, you guys tell me all the time, I need to be confident. I need social skills. So that's what I'm doing.
I did like how he said, I need social. You guys, he said, I think his quote was, you guys say all the time that social skills are important. And we were like, right. Yeah.
Right. But that's my point. If you take this phrase, confidence is the key to life, like you do, and you throw it all over like confetti, then somebody thinks, well, I don't need skill. I just need to be confident. I can walk into a lab and I'm here to conduct this experiment. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm confident, so I'm good.
Yeah. But that's confidence in yourself. There's nothing fake about confidence.
You just don't like the word fake.
Agreed.
Do we really, as a society, want to take our time and spend so much time breaking down this phrase. We got to take this phrase out. I think there's more important things we have to deal with.
I totally agree. Right.
So
would you give advice
let's just take the phrase and let's take what's good from it.
Yeah. Would you give advice that would be something like, lying is acceptable if it makes people feel better?
No.
Would you say that? No. Right. Because you would never start advice with a negative, right? So fake is a negative. Confidence is not a negative, right? So starting advice with a negative thing, it makes no sense to me. Yep.
That's the debate.
When you know better, you do better. Now you know better. So we can cut out the fake it till you make it.
We'll let it in your hands.
Let us know. I mean, it'd be interesting to hear. I mean, I personally can't wait to see these exit polls.
It is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
I feel strong about my debate. Do you feel strong?
Yeah. I mean, I think you did a great job debating. I'm not going to lie. You did a great job. You always do. You're a very smart person.
Oh.
You have a lot of great points.
Now he's trying to make you guys think he's a really nice guy.
I am a nice guy. I'm a nice guy. I tell everyone. I'm like a really nice guy.
Brian does tell everyone. I say, if you have to tell people you're a nice guy.
All right. All kidding aside.
You are a nice guy.
Thank you. All kidding aside, you make a lot of great points. I think the problem here isn't with the way you interpret the saying. The problem is with the saying in general. And I think we would agree that's a fact.
I think we will agree to disagree.
Thanks, guys.
I think I will end my thoughts on it's just not that deep. There's so many things that we can focus our energies on. And this, to me, is not one of them. So I think we take the phrase. It's out there. We use it for good. We both agree that you kind of do have to act your way into a new way of feeling. Like, you agree with that statement.
Yeah, I'm just saying, don't be fake it till you make a guy. Don't be that guy.
But don't like make our viewers think that they're the people that vibe with us are not those kind of people.
What kind of people?
Like fake it till you make it people. People that are just like, I'm going to fake. They know. They're so smart.
They are.
Our viewers and our listeners
some
are
not.
so smart.
Some are not.
But that's not our job. Why are we going to waste our energy on trying to
fix that?
No, we can't fix everything, Mr. Fix It.
I think that's another saying of mine. Everything is fixable. That may not be true, because if we drop that beautiful figurine, as Bennett would say, if we drop that beautiful figurine,
what would you tell these girls? I would say, listen,
we're gonna run.
You can fake your confidence until you make it.
Yeah.
So on that note,
you can do anything. You're a badass. You can do anything.
They can do anything. These girls.
So
can you. Thank you so much for tuning in for this first video episode. Obviously, if you're listening on your podcasts, you can find us on YouTube. We're going to link it in the show notes. I really hope you will go and subscribe to YouTube. I think we have a solid maybe 5 followers there as the time of this recording. So we're really just putting this there because why not?
Yeah, there's a lot of fun. This is super fun. I'm super excited about this. I really am.
And we're going to be able to get some really good social content for this too. So just the next iteration in this podcast journey.
Who knows? We'll be holograms in the next 100 episodes.
Yes. And I'm sorry if I offended you. I wasn't calling you small-minded or pessimistic. Okay. I was just using
in one ear, out the other.
I don't think you're small-minded or pessimistic.
I agree.
All right, everybody. Thanks for being
guys.
here. We will be back next week. So can you.